Which NFL teams are the most intriguing, interesting, compelling teams for this 2020 NFL season? In this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 most interesting NFL teams entering this season. And the way that I would categorize and explain interesting to you, are they going to be fun to watch? Are they going to have interesting storylines, stories to tell? On a weekly basis, are we talking about this team? Is this a story that we're following from week 1 to potentially the Super Bowl, or at least throughout the entirety of the regular season? These are the 10 teams that you have to keep your eye on. The 10 teams that I'm most interested in 2020. Before I give you my top 10, spike the like button and subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL vids just like this. Also, comment your opinion below. Let me know the 10 teams that you are most compelled by, that you're intrigued by, that you're interested in 2020. Let's kick off the top 10 interesting teams with the NFC champion from a year ago, the San Francisco 49ers. Why are the 49ers interesting to me? Because they now have a target painted on their back. People, teams, the NFL, they're going to be approaching the 49ers in a new way. They're going to have a more detailed approach. People now understand what the 49ers are about as a winning team. They have an absolutely monstrous front that's going to get after you. They want to run the football offensively. And of course, Kyle Shanahan is going to be challenged like he's never been challenged as a coach before. How does he follow up what many would say a choke job in that last year's Super Bowl? I don't say that, but a lot of people do. Jimmy Garoppolo. Many people would say Jimmy cost the 49ers a Super Bowl victory. Many people are putting pressure on the shoulders of Gucci Garop to step it up another level in his second full season as a starter. So there's a lot of questions for a team that's coming off a Super Bowl appearance. Can the 49ers get enough out of their receiver position? Is their defense going to perform to the same great level they did a year ago? Can Kyle Shanahan do just as well, if not better this year? And what does Jimmy look like? Does he get better? Does he decline? Or does he stay the same? The 49ers are very, very interesting for a team that's in the elite group. I could just as easily see the 49ers winning the Super Bowl as I can see them missing the playoffs. It's kind of odd. The number 9 most interesting team in 2020 is the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are a team that have gotten a lot of off-season hype, off-season buzz, and off-season supporters. A lot of people think the Broncos are going to go to the playoffs this year with Drew Lock in his second season, drafting Jerry Jeudy with Cortland Sutton, bringing in Melvin Gordon, Vic Fangio's second season. You get Bradley Chubb back. Obviously, they have a lot of talent on offense and on defense, but can they put the pieces together? I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on a young Drew Lock to make things happen. Of course, John Elway, that's always fascinating to watch. And the Broncos are a team that I think it could go very well. They could have a fantastic year, and Locke could look like one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. Or just as easily, they could disappoint. They could be even worse than they were last year. I mean, it's entirely possible. I don't know necessarily what I'll be predicting, but I do think the Broncos are going to be fun. They have all this talent. They have eyeballs on them as an up-and-coming team, but we don't exactly know what to make of them. Are they the 49ers from last year, or are they the Browns? The number 8 most interesting NFL team in 2020 is the Arizona Cardinals. And for pretty much one reason, that's Kyler Murray. I mean, a lot of people are looking forward to seeing Kyler Murray this year. Can he up his game to MVP level? I'm personally excited to see Cliff Kingsbury's offense this year, how it evolves, how it adapts. I'm intrigued to see DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona. I'm intrigued to see how they utilize Isaiah Simmons as like a rare player in the NFL. I do think some people have really high expectations for Arizona. So can they match those expectations within a very tough division? Arizona will be a very fun team to watch that I think week in and week out are going to be in some of the best games we see all season. The number 7 most interesting team entering 2020, the Houston Texans. I just mentioned DeAndre Hopkins just a second ago. The Texans are more interesting to me than the Cardinals this year because of the drama that exists. Bill O'Brien, he's created it, right? The trade of Hopkins, the questionable moves he's made as a general manager. How's that going to affect him in the eyes of fans as a coach? Because I personally think he's a good coach. I think he's underrated as a coach. But does the general manager, Bill O'Brien, hurt the coach, Bill O'Brien? That's the question. And people will start to blame him if Deshaun Watson isn't successful because everybody loves Deshaun Watson universally, right? And this will be a fun team because I think they're going to score points. Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, Randall Cobb, Kenny Stills, you add David Johnson in the mix. It's going to be a fun passing offense to watch. The defense is terrible. If J.J. Watt can have a great season this year, that will also create headlines and storylines as well. I think the Texans are a team that easily could regress. They easily could miss the playoffs, but they also easily could win their division. They're interesting because I can't quite exactly pinpoint what they're going to do this year and how well they're going to do and how good they're going to be. And I think if they're bad, a lot of the fingers are going to be pointed at Bill O'Brien. And I think if they're good, people aren't going to give Bill O'Brien the credit. They're going to give it to Deshaun Watson. So it's interesting. It's very interesting to me. The Texans, I think, will be a fun team every Sunday. They got a lot of drama. They got some high-profile players that will be fun to watch. The number 6 most interesting team of 2020 is the Cleveland Brownies. The Browns, I think, were my most interesting team of 2019 for obvious reasons. And we saw what happened. It was a disaster. In 2020, they are number 6 because they're not getting quite as much hype as they were last year. Actually, not even close. They're kind of a post-hype sleeper, but the Browns still have that drama. They still are very, very intriguing because they have a lot of big personalities, obviously, with Odell and Mayfield and a new coach, and they have Kareem Hunt, and they have Nick Chubb, and they have a lot of talent. Myles Garrett throwing helmets at people. I mean, they got talent. They got personality. They are a team that has been in Strugglesville, a franchise that's been in the dumpster for a long time. Can they finally make their way out of it? And they're a team that a lot of people are wondering, can they finally break through? And I think the Browns are going to be more of a positive story this year because I think they have more so of an underdog feel to them this year than they did last year, where a lot of people were hating on them unnecessarily last year because they were getting unnecessary hype that what Odell and Mayfield brought to them, right? This year, it's quite the opposite. A lot of people are hoping the Browns are good this year, and I'm one of those people. The number 5 most interesting team entering 2020 is the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are always interesting, no matter what. If you love them or you hate them, the Cowboys are always one of the most must-watch teams in the NFL. And especially this year, because Dak Prescott, his contract kind of hanging over his head a little bit. Is he their franchise guy? Is he not? I suspect it's more than likely he is, but that's there, right? You have Jerry Jones, who's always fascinating to watch. CeeDee Lamb in the first round, number 88, carrying the mantle of Dez and of Irvin. You got Zeke still, who's always kind of a character, and Amari Cooper, kind of with his detractors, and defensively, They got a lot of questions to answer. New coaching staff, Mike McCarthy there, that brings a different kind of flavor to their team. A lot of people think they'll be good, and I do think they'll be good. If they're good, it makes it even more must-watch. But either way, I mean, there's a lot of fans, there's a lot of haters, and that always makes for interesting TV. At number 4, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are the 4th most interesting team to me because of the storyline that exists between Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. Is it going to be LaFleur's way, or is it going to be Rodgers' way, or the highway? That is the question. Is it going to be the ground attack, and how will Rodgers deal with that? Or is it going to be the A-Rod show? I mean, I'm intrigued. They got lots of great players. They got Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Frank Clark, Zadarius Smith. They got a lot of guys, right? But they also are a team that went to the NFC Championship last year, got blown out. They didn't really necessarily make any moves to get themselves in a better position. I think a lot of people in the media are kind of angry at that because they want to see Rodgers succeed. And I think there are some people that think Rodgers is not quite as good as some people think he is still. And it's kind of a weird, is Rodgers the future? Are they going to move on from Rodgers? And I just think it makes for a very tense relationship, tense team. And when there's friction there, it always causes for very compelling week-to-week storylines and headlines, and I think that's going to be the case in Green Bay. The number 3 most interesting team of 2020 is the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, I don't think would have ranked this high if I did this a week ago, but because of the Earl Thomas situation, it does make it very interesting. Because you got to wonder, is that an Earl Thomas problem, or is that a Ravens problem? Is Lamar Jackson going to be able to do what he did a year ago and be that incredible star? How is their offense going to evolve? Are people going to figure out Lamar and their offense? Is it going to be a one-trick pony, or are they going to still dominate? I mean, that's a question. Defensively, without Earl Thomas, how are they going to look? They're an interesting team because I think they're going to have, just like San Francisco, a target painted on their back to the point where number 1 seed in the AFC, favorites to win the Super Bowl, like people think they're going to win. Will they win when people think they're going to win? Like people were taken by surprise by the Ravens a year ago, just like San Francisco. Will they be taken by surprise this year with the Ravens? That's the interesting question. Will they be able to reach expectation? That's the interesting question. And oftentimes, teams don't. The number 2 most interesting team in the NFL entering 2020 is the New England Patriots. Number 2, you could argue number 1, definitely, but I have a special team at number 1. The New England Patriots are number 2 because of Bill Belichick and his stubbornness or intelligence. Either way you look at it, Belichick is always an interesting character because you don't quite know what he's always thinking, but you always know he has a plan. And that plan involves one Cam Newton, who's on a comeback path, a comeback storyline. And as a fan of the team myself, I'm super intrigued, but I'm also kind of scared a little bit, because I don't know what to expect in the first time in a long time. And that's an uneasy feeling as a Patriot fan when you knew this team was like AFC Championship or bust year after year. And they have a lot of turnover on defense. They have questions there. And they have the questions regarding skill positions. But I think most of it has to do with, can Belichick succeed without Brady? And how does Cam work in New England? Those are the 2 main things, and that makes them number 2. My number 1 most interesting team entering 2020 has to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It is close between number 2 and number 1, but I think the bigger story is about Tom Brady. Moving to a new team, how does he do without Belichick in a new system, adapting to a new scheme, a new coaching staff, a new entirely different organization that runs things totally opposite from the way New England did, with a new set of characters around him, with a new set of receivers, the best receiver tight end group he's had in years. And Gronk is there, who's another huge personality coming out of retirement. They added LaShawn McCoy. Of course, they have big stars like Ndamukong Suh and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and guys like Levante David and Devin White, guys that are kind of like, for David's sake, under the radar, and for White's sake, on the rise. And they're a team that some people think are going to stink, miss the playoffs, not meet expectations. Some people think they're going to win the Super Bowl. So it's totally opposite spectrum. Some people are cheering for them. Some people are hating on them. Some people love Brady. Some people hate Brady. Some people want Brady to succeed. Some people don't want him. Bucs fans are excited for the first time in a long time. Patriots fans are on the bandwagon. I mean, there's a mix of everything here in terms of story and in terms of characters, in terms of what could happen. And that's why they are the most intriguing team for 2020. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, Gronk, spike the like button and subscribe for more. Peace.